Hey guys, today I'm gonna migrate my Remix app to Next. Keep in mind that I'm a Next newbie, but I'm gonna be using Next 15 with React 19, the release candidate. And if you don't know, as a bit of context, I've been working on RockStack. Well, I've been working in quote unquote because I started this project 2 months ago, but then I went to Japan and I didn't actually want to work there. But in short words, it's a full stack SaaS starter kit for Remix, Next, and Svelte. I have 100% progress on the Remix edition because most of the features I grabbed them from my already released boilerplate for Remix, which is SaaS Rock. And the next edition I'm gonna be working today. I have a few progress. I already migrated the whole database repository pattern tests here on the next edition, but I have almost 0% progress on the Svelte edition. But this video will be covering how I migrate bit by bit the Remix routes to Next. So as a context on in terms of technical details, I have running my Remix edition on port 3001. This is the project right here. This one, RockStack Remix. So I have many routes. Like if I go to contact, these are the marketing pages: contact, brand, index, which is the landing page, login, logout, new account, newsletter, pricing session, success, privacy policy, register, reset, etc. So what do I have on Next? First, the most important thing for me to migrate was the tests. So if I go to DB utils, I can turn on or off specific tests. I'm not sure this will be on the main branch. I mean, supporting both Prisma and Drizzle on the main branch. Maybe there should be a branch for Prisma and one for Drizzle. But since I'm migrating from Prisma to both of these ORMs, and actually a mock database, so you don't need a database when deploying a quick landing page, I have these tests. So I can test like Prisma, npx by test or btest. I'm not sure what's the pronunciation. So some of them will fail because I haven't figured out how to stop being multi-thread, because some tests run in parallel, so it gets in conflict. I tried to fix it by pulling this on the btest config, which is pull option single thread to true, but it didn't actually work. But if I run like only the user tests, which is gonna run user and tenant user, you can see that it still fails. So I'm gonna be even more specific to be well, only the tenant user tests. So all of these should pass. So in Prisma works. Now let's see if it works on Drizzle as well. So it's gonna run the Prisma tests and then the Drizzle test. So it's working. But if I run every test, it will not work. But as I said, this won't be on the main branch. So this is not actually for you, but it's for you to understand. I'm gonna go back to my Remix project a bit. I have this default app configuration where you can set the ORM. You can choose between Prisma, Drizzle, or mock database. Of course, if it's Prisma or Drizzle, you need a database URL environment variable. But you can see that if I use mock, and you can see on RockStack -remix.fly.dev, this is actually not using database, so I cannot actually log in. This is to test features or to develop them. And once you're ready to implement a database, well, you can now use a Postgres or MySQL or any database that Prisma or Drizzle supports. So I'm gonna stop the Remix server. Well, I'm gonna leave it there. Now let me show you the progress. You can see that I already migrated most of the files, which come from the tests and the database, which has the interfaces for accounts, the core configurations, permissions, subscriptions, and so on. And also the repositories, like you can see here that I have specified my Drizzle repositories, my mock database repositories, and my Prisma repositories. And also the modules. I copy pasted the accounts module, the core module, emails module that allows you to send emails with postmark or resend, and so on. So most of these should be compatible enough because it's actually React and or Node, which is TypeScript. So if I run type check, I'm gonna have many errors. Also, the components I copy pasted, like you can see on the UI, I have a date sale, drop downs, empty states, many icons that I use throughout the application, inputs like checkbox, dates, and so on. So I have found 51 errors. These are few errors because I already fixed most of them. There were like 1,000 errors, but you can see that these errors comes from Remix Run React, and these most of the errors had to do with the form submissions. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna start my next server, and I'm gonna compare what it's like to submit a form. I already have a video on this, but I wanna touch base on this matter. So I have a contact page, and this is a namespace because I have a contact route on Remix. I'm talking about Remix right now. I have on Remix 3 pieces, which is the loader. And on the loader, I just load the meta tags and export the meta. And I grab the contact form data, which is going to be an action URL in case you have a specific form, like form spree URL. But if you don't have one set, it's going to go to this action, which is from this contact page namespace and the action contact. And the function is just rendering the page blocks. And these page blocks are like header block and then contact block. So on Next, you have this contact page. And the first difference here is the directory structure. So you can see that on Remix, we have this contact file. And on Next, I have this contact folder. And inside, I have a page. And I have exported, I have created another file for actions. So on this actions file, I have this action contact that receives a previous value parameter and a form data. So all my actions on Next will have this format. So instead of, let me compare the submission on Remix. So on Remix, we have this action, which we declare like action is an async function that has this action function args. And I grab the request and pass it on this action. And I return a JSON with that success message. And if it's an error, I catch it and I return the message, right? Now on Next, it's gonna be something similar, but this action contact, it's actually used on a hook, or is this a hook? Yeah, use action state hook, which passes the action, and this splits the action in 3 pieces, which is the action result, which I call action data, and the action itself, which you're gonna use on the form, like here, action, and the pending status. So if it's running, you can use that on Next. And in Remix, let me go to the contact form variant. You can see that I use navigation to get the state. Like if it's submitting, I need to check this navigation.state is submitting, and also the form data action is submission. We don't have to do that on Next because here we pass the action itself to this pending state. And I guess you can have multiple actions like this, action 2, action data 2, and call another action like this. So in Remix, you will do it like, well, at least I will do it like, where's my action? Like this. If the action from the form data is submission, I call this specific action. So that's the first difference. So what else? So yeah, that's basically the difference. And both of them should work in the same way. So if you see, I go to the contact page. I guess this is still compiling. So I mean, form submission 1, and this is gonna be sent to my email, and this one as well. And if I see the logs on the next edition, I have this postmark, and well, this is my postmark key, so I need to rotate so you don't use it. So anyway, it's gonna be a long video because I have only implemented a few routes. So let's go to this route, which is the dev route. I created this route to help me figure out how to work with context state. Like for example, on the root data on Remix, you can see that I have a use root data hook, which actually uses use matches from Remix. And this finds the load data from a specific path name. So if it's on the tree, you can use previous routes or previous parent routes data by using use matches. And since on the root, which is the main file or the entry point of every Remix application, it's having a loader itself, I have this app root data that I want to use throughout the application that has like the default meta tags, title, a specific user if it exists, the specific current tenant if it exists, the current locale, which is the language, the current theme, the server URL in case I want to use the server URL on the client, the domain name, the user session in case I just want the raw user session, which contains like user ID, the scheme, and the theme. And what else? Whether it's authenticated or not. I guess this is redundant with the user, but anyway, whether I'm running this application in debug mode and so on. Well, and the app configuration. The app configuration, you can see that contains many things like which ORM am I using, what is the application name, what is the email provider that I'm using, and what are some client variables. I don't want to put my private keys on the app configuration. Keep in mind that this app configuration will be passed down to the client. So you can see that on Next, I already have this root data. And what's the difference there? Well, I have this use root data, and this is using a React context. So you can see that I am creating a context from the React package and use the context. So how do I fill this context? In my root data layout, which needs to be grabbed because I cannot use this directly on the layout itself. So on this file, the layout, I have this grabbed component where I pass down the root data. And the root data, I get it from the default async function, which is the server component. So this is a client component, the root data layout, but I'm loading the data on the server like this. And the get root data, it's the same function that I use on the Remix one. You can see here that get app configuration is a database call, and I'm using here on the loader on the Remix edition. So this way, I have this user. And if I log in, well, I cannot actually log in as a mock database. Or can I? Okay, I can. Because I'm using the default user, which is admin. So you can see now that the user is now filled. And for this purpose, I had on this dev page some login and logout buttons that I could use for quick access. So I have these actions, logout and login with the default admin, which is admin and password. So you can see that currently I'm logged in. So on the root data, I have this user filled out, and logout will empty this user. So the context is working. Login, and we don't need to revalidate the path, so the context is automatically filled again. And you can see also on the header, whenever I'm logged out, it says sign up and log in, and whenever I'm logged in, it says enter. So this already works. But what if you don't have the database seated? Like currently, it's already seated and I have 3 users. So I want to show you that. So I'm going to go to my environment file and update my RockStack database URL to be number 2. So I'm going to push these changes, npx prisma db push, and I'm going to start the server without seeding the database. So you can see here that if you're on dev mode, you can access this dev route, and it's going to say already seeded. Why is that? Oh, because on the default app configuration, I'm using mock, and this should be Prisma. Okay, so now we have 0 users and 0 tenants. So you can seed it on npx prisma db push, or you can seed it here with seed database. Well, this is not refreshed, so that I guess I need to revalidate on that function. But if I refresh the page, it will now say already seeded. So now the users exist. Well, since I haven't created the inside routes, I need to log out like this, or with the logout button that I created. So going back to dev, it's already seated, and you can see that if I go to login and put an invalid password like A, it says invalid password. But if I set the password, now I'm logged in and it's trying to redirect me to the admin dashboard. Okay, so what route should I do next? I guess newsletter, because it's one of the main routes for RockStack. So let's take a look on Remix. We have this newsletter page, and we have some meta tags like the title and the description, and the blocks are the default header, the newsletter component, and the default footer. And there's an action which I call action subscribe, and yeah, I'm gonna copy paste this namespace here. Let me see if it exists. No. So along with the landing page and contact page, I'm gonna paste here the newsletter page. So this is one of the benefits of working with page blocks. So it's kind of compatible. Well, these errors are actually false. So I'm gonna reload the window. And some of them are gonna be invalid. Like for example, use typed action data. We cannot use that on Next. Form and use navigation from Remix, we cannot actually do that. So and here's another difference. On the get meta tags, I don't need the request, so I'm just gonna pass down like that, and the blocks work and the action should work. And let's see, why is it complaining? Okay, now the newsletter component cannot use this action data and use navigation. So I'm gonna remove this remix functions. On Next, I only need use action state, I guess. And here I'm gonna pass the action and a default state. Well, let me see. No over. Okay, so I cannot use this format. For next actions or React actions, I need a previous state and a form data. So let me see if this is not complaining anymore. Okay. And now we need to split this action data like this. Action data is now the first parameter of the array. And then we have the action itself and then the pending state. And here is checking if it's pending. So if it's subscribing to the reset form. Now, the action result comes from the action data. And the action data can be success boolean or success no. So we need to override the action subscribe so it only returns a success or an error message like this. It shouldn't be a boolean. Success Thank you for subscribing. This is because it's checking the honeypot field. So if a bot is filling this honeypot field, we're just gonna return success. We're not gonna let them know that it's filling the honeypot field. You know what I mean? So this should work, I guess. Let me see. Now the action data has success or error. Okay, we need to define that it should return this format, error or success. So let's see where it's failing. Okay, here. Thank you for subscribing. Now, on the form, I cannot use this form from Remix. I'm gonna use the default, and I'm gonna pass the action which comes from action. And we don't need this replace attribute. And instead of state success, we're gonna set action data success. And what else? This is subscribing is now pending. So let's see if it works. Well, I need to create on source application marketing routes. I need to create here the newsletter directory and then the page. And here on this page, I'm just gonna grab the same way that I did for contact. And instead of having calling this contact news namespace, I'm gonna call the newsletter page. Okay, so this meta tags, it's not receiving, should not receive a request. And what else? It doesn't have a load because we don't need anything on the newsletter component. So I'm just gonna remove this parameter from the blocks. Well, it says that the meta tags should be loaded. Let me see how it's done on the contact form. Okay, so here we don't need the meta tags because the meta tags and nor the data property. Yeah, because the meta tags on the newsletter page are generated like this: generate meta data and then return the meta tags, which is on this format like this, just re-exporting the metadata from Next types. Now, let me save this and see what it's complaining about. I guess, let's see. Okay, you're importing a component that needs use ref. Yeah, because on the newsletter page, we have these functions that cannot be used in server component. And by default, these are server components. So you can see on the contact page, we are not actually using a client component here. We're using the contact block, which is somewhere else. So on this newsletter page, I'm gonna grab the component, which is this one, newsletter component, and I'm gonna create a file. I guess whenever I have this, well, let me see if I have a newsletter block. No, I don't. So on the contact block, I'm gonna create a newsletter block, but I'm not gonna make it a page block. I'm just gonna have it like this, newsletter component. I guess it's redundant. Export default function, and then import all missing imports. Use root data, it's not finding this. So let me grab it again. Yeah, I guess I should only reload the window to see if it fixes it. No, that's not it. Has no call signatures. Okay. Okay, so root data. It says that it has no call signatures. I'm not understanding. Use root data. Okay, so this should be like this. It's not a default export. So we can use this cross. What was this meaning? Cross-site request forgery. So this is a protection similar to the honeypot that I implemented. Okay, so what is it's complaining about? Let's see. Input should not be importing from post CSS, of course. This should be a ShatCN input. And let's see, that's ready. So I'm gonna save this file, and go to the newsletter page. Okay, so newsletter component, it's complaining because there's not actually newsletter component here. Oh, I forgot to render that new newsletter component. So let's see what it's complaining about. Okay, so now I need to mark the newsletter component as use client. So React knows that this is a client component. Reading meta tags, okay. Why is it complaining? Let me see. On marketing page, it cannot read, okay, no, marketing, no, newsletter page. Newsletter page, it cannot read these meta tags. And why is that? Let me delete the unused imports. Okay, so I guess that was the problem. I still had imports that are only usable on client components. So let me see if this works. Thank you for subscribing. But there was actually an error. Let me see. Cannot specify end type. Okay, so this is not actually an error method. It's because on the newsletter component, I have this method that I cannot declare on actions because the action is the method, right? So let me refresh again and try and subscribe again. Okay, subscribed. But I'm not sure if it's doing it. So I'm gonna wait 3 seconds to simulate the slow network and do it again. So, okay, so it is working. Now, that's another route that is completed, but I have many routes. Let me show you what routes are there. So we have the landing page, right? We have the pricing page. We don't have any prices yet. We have the contact page, the newsletter page, this RockStack versus SaaS Rock comparison table. But yeah, I guess this is not necessary. Then we have this terms and conditions page and the privacy policy. These ones are easy. So let me create those first. Terms and conditions. On the remix, okay, so I'm gonna copy and paste terms and conditions and privacy policy. So on newsletter page here, I'm gonna create 2 folders, one terms and conditions and one for privacy policy. And I'm gonna paste it here. I'm gonna rename this one to page and copy paste the privacy policy. And I'm gonna fix what's broken. So first, we cannot generate the meta tags like this. So I'm gonna go to contact page to copy paste these meta tags. And this is not actually using page blocks. These are just normal routes. So this will be kind of easier. So we need to export these get server translations and return the get meta tags passing the title and description. But I'm gonna do it like this, title. Yeah. So we don't need the loader anymore and the meta export. Now export default function, but I'm not sure if I should name my routes. I think Next complains if you don't name them, but I'm gonna try anyway. Okay, so I don't need these functions anymore. Let's see if that works. I'm gonna go to the terms and conditions page. Okay, so this should be, I guess it's because here it should be client component, and this is actually, I mean, this is a server function and this is a client component. So, oh, the only problem is that I'm using use translation, but I can make this an async function and grab the translation keys from get server translation. So this is actually converted to server route, and that's actually it. Okay, so now the next one, privacy policy, doesn't exist because I haven't, well, it exists, but I haven't implemented the changes. So I'm gonna grab the metadata, meta tags, and copy paste whatever I have on the title. Import this, remove the meta and the loader from Remix, remove the name on the route, replace this for await, get server translations, make this function an async, and that's it. Let's see. Okay, now it works. What else? We can see the sitemap that Remix generates. So terms and conditions, done. Privacy policy, done. Newsletter, done. Contact, done. Brand. Let me see if I already have implemented this brand page. Okay, it's done, where I have the icon and logo. Because you can see that whenever you visit, like for example, the Next site, if you right-click the logo, you can, well, not in this case, but I guess on Vercel, if you copy, you can see the brand guidelines. This is like grabbing the logo and icon. So that's the purpose of this route. What else? I have the login page. And yeah, these are on Spanish. So you can see that the missing pages are auth related, like forgot password. Where is register? I don't have a register page. Register. Okay, I do, but it's not. Okay, because I think it's a configuration that I have that the user cannot register without subscribing first. So you can see on default app configuration, there's a subscription property that says allow subscribe before sign up, but it says true, both of them. Let me see on the dev route. Let me see the view root data. Okay, they are false. That means I already overridden the configuration on, let me see if I can log in, but this is using mock data. So I'm gonna use a real database. So I can log in, go to settings, go to the cache, and remove this cache. Clear keys, all the keys clear, and try again, go to register. Okay. It's still, let me figure this out. Allow subscription before sign up is false. Where am I setting this value? It's grabbing it from the default configuration. Okay, so this is on the database. On settings, on authentication, yeah, I have unchecked this allow subscription before sign up. But if I save this and go right to the register route, what is the problem here? Let me go on the dev route. Okay, I think, let me start on incognito mode. No, that's not the issue. Allow users to sign up. Oh, it's this one right here, before subscribe. Yeah, allow sign up before subscribe, not the other way around. Okay, so authentication, this one, and try again. Register. Okay, so there you go. This route needs to be migrated to, well, I think I should do the admin dashboard first and leave the forgot password, reset, register routes at the end. I think, because I don't have this route on the next edition. Like you can see, it's not a page, but I should do this migration first, like this admin page where I have the dashboard and the accounts and the settings, and I can go to, well, this is the application routes, which is similar to the admin routes, but only for your tenant users. This is just fake data. But functions like go to settings and manage the profile of the user, the members, the subscription, and the account. Okay, so going to the next edition, I think I should already implement this admin route first. So it's gonna be hard from here because I'm gonna undo this ORM change that I made. Well, I guess I shouldn't because I need to see the dashboard. Yeah. Going to the next edition. This is gonna be more complicated because you can see the admin folder, it's empty. So the first thing that I need is an admin route. So I'm gonna copy paste this route and put it, I guess, here, and see why is it complaining. So this should not be missing. So I'm gonna copy paste this app layout that is gonna be on the components like this, and let me see if this depends on something else. Yes, the sidebar layout. So these sidebar layouts should be copy pasted as well. And let me see each one of these. Yeah, this is using remix. So I'm just gonna remove it. And instead of using use params, I guess I'm not sure if this exists. I'm gonna check it later. And link should be from next link. And it's not to, it's ahref. And it's not finding the application data. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this component because I'm not doing the application side right now. I'm doing the admin side, right? So I don't need this component right now, but sure I need it later. I'm gonna go to the next one, which was profile button. Okay, so here, instead of using the remix components, we're gonna replace use params, and we cannot submit it like this. So the profile button cannot submit. Let me replace the links for next links, and instead of 2, I'm gonna replace to ahref, and that should do. And similar to here, ahref, and on the sign out, it's submitting. But I want to redirect to the logout page on Next. So what's a function to do that? Redirect to logout using Next router. Let me see if this works. Well, I'm gonna put a to do here. To do. Or let me do a quick ChatGPT prompt. Question. Why am I logged out? Well, let me use Claude instead. How can I redirect using Next to logout? Client component using logout. I'm gonna put Next 15 in case it already knows. Okay, so I need the use router, and that needs to be declared like this, use router, and then I can use the router to push to logout. Okay, so I'm gonna test if it works later. So we have this button migrated, we have some icons, we have this tenant select that we don't need right now because this is also for the application dashboard. We have the admin sidebar that we do need for this piece. Sidebar item, sidebar layout. Okay, so the sidebar layout, if it's using the layout app, it's gonna grab this. Okay, so this is another component that I cannot use right now, or I'm gonna comment the specific things for the app layout. And the images should be grabbed from this next image package, I guess. Instead of using the default image It's like that. Let me see why it's complaining. Okay, so we don't have this component right now. And the use app or admin data, yeah, we need that context. So you see how I created the context for root. I need that whenever I am on the admin routes. And I'm not sure how to do that on Next. If I go to app router Next and grouping, route groups. Well, but I don't need a grouping. It's more of like nested routes. So how does it work? We have the route segment, but what if I have a directory like this one, settings? So I guess it just works like creating directories inside. Let me see if that works. On the admin, instead of having this, I'm gonna comment this. I'm gonna do a page and export default function default return admin, and here so this still doesn't work. Why is that? Admin, why is it not working? Okay, so I guess I need this folder first. Yeah, so I don't need this how is it called, the parentheses, the to name this group, because the admin will be the group itself. So I guess that's why it's not working. Okay, so let me check if a dashboard, well, but admin dashboard will not be actually a nested route. It's gonna be just an independent route, and the admin route should redirect to that instead. So maybe we do need the grouping. Let me see. I'm not sure how it works. So let me see. What if I copy this admin dashboard? Okay. So this is the way I wanted it to work, but the admin should redirect to the admin route. But I don't like that it's nested, because it's not actually nested. Let me see on Remix. I have these admin routes, and this is the route for the admin, but well, there's an outlet, so it means that it is nested. So we have this admin group, and we don't have an index here because there's no index. It's redirected to the dashboard. Okay, so how do I do it? It's gonna be complicated, but the first thing that I want to do is migrate this admin route. So I'm gonna copy, or maybe, yeah, copy paste and uncomment and see what's complaining about. So we cannot use outlet. Okay, so it is an outlet, so it is a child. So let me see if there's an outlet for nested routes. I want to see the code, because there should be layout, page, suspense. Yeah, I need to figure this out, because on Remix, they have an outlet to render the child route and pass down on the tree that way. So, okay. I'm not sure where to go from here. I guess the first thing that I'm gonna do is create this use admin state. So use admin data should load things from the admin. Like on Remix, I have this use admin data. that uses this DTO. So I'm gonna export this type. Well, there's another hook which is called use app or admin data. So I'm gonna do that first. Use app or admin data, and this is not gonna use matches. So this is gonna be just a context like this one right here. So I'm gonna copy paste this and replace the app root data for this app or admin data, and add the imports, and app root data is gonna be now app or admin data, and it's gonna be named use app or admin data. So I'm gonna find and replace this. This is not root data context, it's actually app or admin data context. Root data provider. Okay, so we need the layout. Oh, I guess the layout was the way it was for child routes, because I had this main application layout, and I guess the children is passed down. Yeah, I think that's the way of nesting things in. Well, I'm not sure. Don't listen to me just yet. But I'm gonna create an admin layout because I need this. I need to use this use app or admin data. But I think I should stop the video right here because I need to do some research, and this could take a long time or just do it fast. But I don't want to bet on that. So if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to leave a comment to let me know. This should be completed by the 30th of September. That means I have like a week and a half to complete this project. So I'm not sure if I will be able to complete, the Svelte edition. But it all depends on the speed that I implement the next edition. And it seems that I'm gonna be fast because once I have the layouts in place, like grabbing the state on what user am I, what functions can I use, and since the database repository pattern is already in place, all I have to do now is migrate my actions that I'm using on Remix to Next. And that way is gonna be the same for Svelte. I have this RockStack Svelte that you may know of, that it's like the skeleton for my application. So I already know how to do actions, how to do cookies. You can see that I have internationalization as well. So this is like the base structure of what I like to see on a SaaS starter kit. So the next edition should be fast enough, but I want to figure this out outside this video because I don't want to hang you with my zero knowledge on Next. But once I figure it out, I will be back to keep migrating routes. Like I guess the next ones will be listing the accounts, be able to create accounts, listing the users, create more users, specify the roles, manage the roles, permissions, admin users, app users, missing roles and permissions in case you create permissions later and your application is already working and you want to seed them to sit on all your tenants. And then the tenant side, which is going to be similar, but an empty dashboard, settings for updating, actions for updating the profile, updating the password, changing the preferences, deleting the accounts, adding a member, setting the roles, updating a member, like deleting. Well, actually, you cannot edit a member, just remove it. Invite somebody, send an email, manage the subscription, like pay a one-time plan, subscribe to a flat rate plan, cancel a flat rate plan, update the general settings for the account, and that's it. That's the boilerplate. And you will be developing your features inside the dashboard or or create more sidebar items on the application sidebar, and maybe on the admin as well. Like if you're creating a site like my site, which is for indexing sites, you will have sites on the admin dashboard that you can see as an admin, but as a user, you will have your sites on the dashboard, you know? So anyway, let me know if you like this kind of format where I'm just talking out loud, or if you prefer just completed videos. So yeah, let me know, and please leave a comment on your feedback. Thanks.